Welcome to today's Explainer. We're going to dive into something kind of surprising today. We're looking at the undeniable synchrony between hitting the pavement and hitting your professional goals. We're drawing on some truly fascinating insights from Arijit Ghosh. He's a thinker whose background perfectly bridges corporate strategy and fitness. So we're going to explore exactly how the mindset you build while just putting one foot in front of the other actively transforms the way you approach your entire career. All right, I want you to picture this. You're, say, 3 kilometers from home. Your legs feel like lead. Your lungs are absolutely burning. Every single rational thought in your brain is screaming at you to just stop and walk. But you don't. You recalibrate. You find your rhythm, and you just keep moving forward. It's a quiet, unglamorous, and entirely personal moment of pure physical struggle. So that brings us to a pretty provocative question. What does this moment actually have to do with your career? Like, what does sweating on a sidewalk have to do with your next performance review or that massive project you're leading? Well, according to Ghosh, running and your professional life are actually training the exact same person. The mindset you forge in that visceral moment of struggle, that is the precise mindset you need in the boardroom.
Okay, let's dive into this. Part 1, the invisible work. Quiet miles, quiet wins.
Look, whether you're a teacher, a nurse, a freelancer, or a manager, the discipline you build out there on the road, it definitely doesn't just stay on the road. It bleeds directly into your daily work life. Mostly because running fundamentally teaches you delayed gratification. You don't just lace up your shoes and get fitter in a week, right? That's just not how human biology works. You don't see the results of your consistency until you've quietly stacked dozens and dozens of sessions together. You put in the time when literally no one is watching, and then one day, almost without warning, you easily run a distance that would have completely broken you 6 months ago. And professional growth works exactly the same way. Think about the professionals you admire, the ones who seem to just leap forward in their careers out of nowhere. I can guarantee you it wasn't an overnight success. They are almost always the ones who did the invisible, unglamorous work long before anyone noticed. They were putting in their professional miles in the quiet moments.
Moving on to part 2, embracing the discomfort, sitting with the struggle.
Now, running teaches you a very specific relationship with pain. It doesn't teach you to miraculously enjoy discomfort because, let's be real, burning lungs are never exactly a fun time, but it does teach you to stop fearing it. You learn to just sit with it. And when you stop fearing discomfort, everything changes. Hard conversations, difficult projects, uncertain outcomes at work, they totally transform. When you've conquered the physical discomfort of pushing your body past its perceived limits, your relationship with office stress actually evolves. A difficult conversation with a client or tackling a massive, ambiguous project, it just doesn't trigger that same panic anymore. You've basically trained your brain to say, I'm uncomfortable, and hey, I am okay.
Which brings us to part 3, the science of resilience, the biology of a better brain.
Now, for the logically minded among us, this isn't just motivational fluff. It's not just a nice metaphor. Exercise actively changes your neurochemistry. First off, it actively reduces cortisol, which is your body's primary stress hormone. But it also stimulates the production of this really vital protein called BDNF, or brain-derived neurotrophic factor. Think of BDNF as essentially fertilizer for your brain. It supports brain function, memory, and focus. So you are quite literally building a more resilient, structurally sound mind every single time you lace up those shoes and head out the door. And this brilliantly illustrates the real-world professional benefits of that biological boost. We're talking sharper thinking, staying a lot calmer under pressure, and bouncing back from setbacks way faster. This is precisely why consistent runners often perform exceptionally well in high-pressure workplace scenarios. They've biologically optimized their brains to handle stress and maintain crystal-clear focus. All right, part 4, consistency over motivation, the common currency. This one is a massive paradigm shift. So often we think we need to feel motivated to succeed at work or in fitness. But honestly, the most important thing running and professional life share is not motivation. Because motivation is completely unreliable. It's fair weather. Motivation shows up when conditions are perfect, you've slept well, everything is going your way. But it absolutely disappears the second things get hard. Consistency, on the other hand, is gritty. Consistency is what gets you out the door on a freezing, gray November morning when your bed is incredibly warm. It's the runner who finds time for a quick 20-minute lunchtime run during a chaotic week, even when progress feels invisible. Consistency is simply trusting the process. I absolutely love this quote from Ghosh's piece. You are training your relationship with commitment itself. Just think about that. Showing up on the days you really don't feel like it, sticking to a plan when the results aren't visible yet, you aren't just training your cardiovascular system. You are fundamentally rewiring how you commit to things in your life. And guys, that is a superpower in any career. Which leads us to part 5, the power of rest, managing energy. This is honestly the anti-hustle climax of Ghosh's insights. We live in a culture that glorifies burning the candle at both ends, right? But running teaches you very quickly that recovery is not weakness. Adaptation happens during rest, not during effort. Let me repeat that. Adaptation happens during rest. Overtraining does not make you faster. It literally just breaks your body down. And the exact same truth applies to your professional life. Burning yourself out is not a badge of honor. The professionals who sustain long, meaningful, impactful careers are rarely the ones who hustled the hardest and burned themselves out in their 20s. They're the ones who learned to manage their energy just as carefully as they manage their efforts.
So let's look at this rhythm. Step 1, easy days. Step 2, hard days. Step 3, recovery weeks. Running actually gives you this built-in rhythm to manage your energy. It's a highly structured framework of stress and recovery. Once you start applying this exact same rhythm to how you manage your professional energy, scheduling intense focus periods, following them up with lighter administrative days, and taking actual restorative time off, a massive shift happens in your career trajectory. You stop merely surviving, and you actually start thriving.
Finally, a philosophy for life, the bottom line.
Because here's the massive takeaway. The way you run is the way you work. Everything we've just structured and analyzed, it isn't reserved just for elite athletes chasing podiums. This framework belongs to absolutely anyone who's willing to show up, do the work, and trust that consistency compounds over time. Ultimately, the road and the office are the exact same training ground. They both demand delayed gratification, the courage to sit with discomfort, unshakable consistency, and the wisdom to rest. This isn't just a running philosophy. It's a life philosophy. So I want to leave you with this one lingering question to chew on. How will you run today? The next time things get incredibly tough, whether you're out there on the pavement or sitting in a high-stakes meeting, just notice what you do. Because the way you handle that resistance dictates the way you grow. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep showing up, keep trusting the process, and I'll catch you next time.